It's Thursday, the 20th of October 2022, and welcome to the Water Action Platform. Today, we have a wonderful program.
Hello, and welcome to the...
Oh my word! What's this? What's happening?
Hello, and welcome to the Water Action Platform. Piers is busy this week, so we replaced him with an A. Perhaps permanently. Enjoy!
Now, please forgive that little bit of theatrics there. I simply couldn't resist. That was a little insight into the future. It may be hard to believe, but that lovely lady, who to my eyes looked very, very real, was 100% AI. We programmed her to say those words. Or rather, my horrible colleagues programmed her to make that dastardly suggestion that I might be permanently replaced. I am proud and pleased to tell you that I am going nowhere. Anyway, let's get back to today's broadcast. Have you started thinking about your Christmas shopping? Well, we have the perfect water sector gift for you and to give to your loved ones. And we have 2 tech showcases. And we will hear about the water climate discussion to be held in the run-up to the COP27 in Egypt next month. And we have an update from the water frontline in the Ukraine conflict. And it will all be done in less than 30 minutes. So strap yourself in and enjoy. As always, this roller coaster of fun is only possible due to our lovely sponsors listed here. Thank you all. However, before we get into the main programme, I want to pick up on one of the topics from last month. Now, last month, I told a story about this man, a personal hero of mine, Dr. John Snow, a physician who lived in London 200 years ago. I encourage you all to be more like John because the scientific diligence, preparedness to act and sheer unadulterated courage that he showed was crucial to helping humankind understand how cholera is spread. John Snow's actions directly saved hundreds of lives in 18th century London. The knowledge that he uncovered, for which he was ridiculed and he died before receiving any acknowledgement, has saved millions more in the decades since. I told John Snow's story because I believe we need an army of people like him if we are to successfully address the climate crisis. That crisis is arguably best encapsulated in this graph. It shows the unrelenting increase in atmospheric carbon over the past 60 years. Last month I suggested that we needed people who have John Snow's resolve, his diligence, his courage to take action, even when criticised and ridiculed. Now, thank you to everyone who commented on last month's broadcast. It threw up the question of whether a modern-day John Snow is even possible. Surely nothing of the magnitude like what he experienced could befall us in today's modern water sector. Well, let me introduce you to Dr. Mona Hanna Attisha, a paediatrician, professor and public health advocate in the United States. It was Mona who exposed the catastrophic Flint water crisis in Michigan in 2015. It was her research that identified that local children had increased levels of lead in their blood and that the source was the local water supply. Now, like Snow, Mona was initially ridiculed by the authorities, who accused her of being an unfortunate researcher who was splicing and dicing her numbers and causing hysteria. Now, fortunately for the residents of Flint, her work was eventually recognised and the state responded with an apology and funding to address the crisis. Now, like Snow, Mona Hanna Attisha could have kept quiet. She could have just published her findings and sat back. She could have backed down when she was ridiculed. She didn't, and the world's a better place for it. So, if you don't want to be like John, then be like Mona instead. Now, interestingly, one of our regular viewers is Radoslav Rusev from Bulgaria. This photo has been plucked from his LinkedIn page. Rado emailed me to say that immediately after watching the John Snow story, he was reading this article. Rado flagged it with me because it makes direct mention of John Snow, mainly because this story involves dedicated, caring professionals working outside the confines of their normal day-to-day responsibilities. The article, which was published in Nature last month, tells the story about this group of scientists who have traced, through monitoring the sewage, a new coronavirus to one very specific office block in Wisconsin. Now, we've shared many great stories about wastewater-based epidemiology here in the past, and I suspect that you're all familiar now with how it works. This team in Wisconsin found a new variant in the wastewater from a work serving about 100,000 people. They followed the sewer system backwards, taking samples along the way, and eventually narrowed it down to one very specific office block. Now, there is an amusing side story where they thought that the virus was coming from a local dog park, and some poor researcher had the job of following dog walkers around to ask them for samples of their little pooch's excrement, all being done in the name of science. But anyway, the dog poo route was eventually exhausted, and the researchers are now convinced that they are looking for a specific single individual who is carrying this new variant. It's someone who they believe has actually been infected with it for at least 8 months. Now, so far, 60% of the employees who work in that particular office block have come forward for nasal swab tests, and none of them appear to carry the cryptic lineage. But the search goes on. Now, fairly obviously, catching this individual case is unlikely to stop the next super variant. But if it can be traced, then it might help researchers better understand the biological factors that cause variants like Omicron to emerge. Rather fittingly, the article in Nature describes it as a crystal ball into the virus's future. We now come to our technology showcase section, and last month we heard from Alex Crowell at Pure Terra Ventures, a private equity firm based in the Netherlands who specialises in water investments. Well, this week's tech showcase is one of their portfolio companies called SIGA. SIGA is an Israeli-headquartered technology solutions company whose primary mission is to enable critical infrastructure operators, such as water utilities, to dramatically improve their assets' reliability, safety and OT cyber security. So here is Pierre Noël, Chief Strategist and Growth Officer, sharing more.
Hello, this is Pierre Noël from SIGA. Let's look objectively at where your industry stands regarding cyber risk exposure. Let's look at why and how. As a nation-critical industry, water treatment is exposed to 3 types of motivations from cyber attackers, making you a magnificent target. An unfriendly nation might decide that for political or economic reason, they see value in disrupting the country where you operate, creating havoc and benefiting from the situation. Misinformation alone is sufficiently destructive if you cannot counter it fast enough. An unfriendly nation might also spread the misinformation that your system has been hacked and is polluting a large city, creating panic to serve its purpose. You will be on the receiving end, trying to prove a negative and probably enduring more stringent regulations in the future. And last, cyber criminals might realize they can make a juicy profit by planting ransomware within your system, or just threatening you to do it in return for some cryptocurrency. Welcome to my world. Let's make it simple. Everything that can be programmed can be hacked. Sometimes it is effortless to hack, and sometimes incredibly sophisticated. But the truth is, everything that can be programmed can be hacked. So, not only your turbines, filters, valves, and anything else can be hacked to do the wrong thing or stop functioning altogether, but even the monitoring system you have in place can be hacked to display misleading information, one way or another. So where does that leave us? Proper cybersecurity protection requires that you evaluate every possible risk, understand the impact and probability, and deploy controls, technologies, or procedures to mitigate that risk. This is all good and well, but very complex, lengthy, and costly as cyber risks continuously evolve. A safe environment today might become unsafe tomorrow because some genius found a new weakness in the technology you use. This is where SIGA steps in. The tenet of SIGA is incredibly simple. If everything that can be programmed can be hacked, the ultimate source of truth should come from something that cannot be programmed. SIGA technology captures the normal behavior of these critical assets by collecting the electric signal between the controller and the controlled asset. It tells, with no room for hacking, whether the valve is on or off and if it's operating normally or not. We call this level 0 cybersecurity, your first line of detection, below anything that could be programmed. Some industries and regulators have already mandated level 0 monitoring as the ultimate source of the truth, to be deployed in parallel with the standard cybersecurity controls. Others are looking at SIGA as the starting point of the journey towards cyber risk management, kind of the canary in the mine that you can always rely upon to tell you whether the air is breathable or not. Thank you for your time.
Now, before he joined SIGA, Pierre had over 35 years of experience in cybersecurity, working in several Fortune 100 companies, including Microsoft. He's an advisor to several governments and large organisations such as Airbus, so he kind of knows his onions. SIGA is a leader in industrial process anomaly detections, and if you want to know more, please just let me know. Now, we come to a little story from Czechia, formerly known as the Czech Republic, and a water utility called VAK HB, which is based about 30 miles outside Prague. The chairman of VAK HB is a man called Pav Policar. Now let me start right away by saying that I love Pav dearly. I've known him for decades and I've visited his home, met his family. Hell, we've even kayaked along the rivers around Prague together. It is because of this close history together that I can confidently tell you that Pav is a little bit crazy. He has a frightening appetite to do stuff. Ideas pour out of him at an impressive rate and, unlike most human beings, he acts upon them. Now, I happened to be with Pav in Prague last month and we visited one of his wastewater sites. He shared with me a classic mad Pav idea that they are now implementing. VAK HB are going to recover renewable heat from the outgoing wastewater effluent. Then they're going to use this recovered heat to turn up the wick on their digesters, making them thermophilic at 55 degrees C rather than mesophilic at 35 degrees C. This will give them significantly more biogas and thus even more renewable energy. Here is a quick video that we recorded while on site. It's a spur of the moment recording, so apologies for the less than ideal audio. So I'm here in the Czech Republic with Pav Policar, the chairman of VAK HB, one of the best water treatment and wastewater treatment companies in the Czech Republic. And behind me, you can see some 3 anaerobic digesters, very typical, it's what you see on every wastewater treatment works. But there's something very special about these ones. Pav, what's special about these digesters?
Well, as you said, they were ordinary mesophilic, which we changed to thermophilic. But why we changed it to thermophilic, there's a story behind.
Okay, so we've got thermophilic digesters. We all know that those are good. They're higher rate, they produce more biogas. What's the special thing that you've done here to get them to be thermophilic?
Well, we wanted to kill 7 birds with 1 stone, which I think we killed at least 6 by now. Number 1, new European legislation on sludge sterilization. We're using them for composting and in agriculture. That was one issue. Second issue, how to achieve it. Second issue was, hey, what if we produce a little bit more biogas? We need it. We're lacking biogas because of our cogeneration capacity. 3, we're polluting river with the external heat from the final effluent, polluting. So what we've decided and what we've as a strategy designed, and now it's in place.
And this is the genius idea.
We're heat recovering from the final effluent. Then this is not theory, it's in place. We're by this heat sterilizing the sludges at the inlet to the thermophilic. We had to change structurally and isolate the big tanks from mesophilic to thermophilic to load and hold the temperature increase to about 55 degrees. We're burning 400 kilowatts of biogas producing the electricity, but we have now at least about 10, maybe 15% of biogas extra, and we're right now building already membrane filtration to get the super green natural gas. We have managed all the permissions, and we're gonna be on paid basis, obviously, injecting this into the natural gas grid in the Czech Republic.
And this was all done because of a commercial directive rather than anything else. You focused on this as was about a return on investment.
We're doing of each part of it.
Each part.
Correct.
So, recovering final heat from final effluent to take your mesophilic digesters to thermophilic digesters, preserving the environment because that now means your final effluent isn't going out into the environment as warm as it was previously, and then cleaning the extra biogas that you're getting so that you then get absolute biomethane being injected into the grid.
And there's a queue of the distributors, gas distributors. They're fighting for this green friction to have it because they want to have it. They want to be green. So they're fighting for this.
This feels very Jon Snow to me. Pav, congratulations.
Piers, welcome, welcome. We're wild animals here.
Very Jon Snow, don't you think? I absolutely love Pav's attitude of, let's give it a go, let's do it. The extra biogas they produce will be particularly useful in Czechia because just across the border rages the conflict which is plunging us all into a period of energy insecurity. And talking of that conflict, back in April we heard about what the charity Operators Without Borders were doing to support Ukrainian utilities. Back then I got them to promise to update us in 6 months' time. So here it is. To remind you, Operators Without Borders is a registered Canadian charity that operates solely with dedicated volunteers and has a mandate to help water and wastewater utilities rebuild after disasters. In April, we heard how they've been working to assist in the Ukraine. Now here is Valerie Jenkinson, their chair and founder, with a 2-minute update. Valerie is talking to a local utility general manager, Rizard. As you hear him speak, please keep in mind that shortly after this message was recorded, Rizard was sent to the Donbass region as a soldier to fight against the Russians.
Thank you, Piers. Operators Without Borders works in disaster areas all around the world, and probably the largest disaster right now is the Ukraine. And this summer, I was able to spend 4 weeks in Poland working with the Polish and Ukrainian water utilities. And one of the people I met was Richard, who is the CEO of Gdansk Water. And he is leading the charge in helping the Ukrainian water utilities. And I'm going to let him tell you about the trip he made into Ukraine with the whole team, assessing the damage and seeing what we could do. Richard, over to you.
Thank you, Valerie. So we are cooperating with Operators Without Borders. We have a plan to help Ukrainian waterworks. I've been in June together with other colleagues in Ukraine visiting 10 cities, and we met many people from Ukrainian waterworks and municipalities. So what we have discovered, you can see, we have seen destroyed equipment of Ukrainian waterworks. And so they still need delivery of equipment, but they also need very much training, and including incident command system training, so which we have started together with Operators Without Borders. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. As Richard said, we're doing a lot of the incident command disaster recovery training, which is going to be so critical in rebuilding Ukraine, in building back better. If you can help, we are looking for sponsors. We need to do workshops. We need to bring people out of Ukraine, or we need to be going into Ukraine to deliver these workshops. If you can help, please get hold of Piers. You won't regret it. It's a wonderful thing that you'll be doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Rizard. I hope you're somewhere safe. Now, if you want to make a donation, then this is the link to follow. I will also circulate this link in my post-broadcast email, which is sent to all Water Action Platform members. ISLE will match every donation made between now and Christmas, whether it's from corporations or individuals, up to £10,000 sterling. Just put a note in the comment box that you're donating as part of the Water Action Platform outreach. Thank you. We now come to COP27. Last year, COP26 was held in Scotland. This year, in November, world leaders will gather in Egypt. Not surprisingly, water must be an integral part of these discussions. So, in the run-up to COP26, we got together with members of these 11 watery organisations for the first water climate discussion. This year, that discussion is being opened out to everyone, and they would love it if you could join us on this platform right here at 9 a.m. UTC on Thursday, the 3rd of November. Now here is Martin Curie, founder of the Andai platform, to tell us more about this year's theme, which is positive tipping points.
Thanks, Piers. Yes, we're focusing on positive tipping points for this year's water climate discussion because they're probably our last and greatest hope in fighting climate change. We're most familiar with bad news negative tipping points in climate change. The tipping points when a series of small things become significant enough to cause a larger, more important change. Climate scientists have identified a number of environmental tipping points based on global warming above pre-industrial levels. The current 5-year global mean temperature shows that we're currently at 1.17 degrees of global warming. So we're already risking a number of these tipping points. Things like catastrophic melting of ice sheets, death of coral reefs, abrupt thawing of permafrost, and changes in convection currents responsible for oxygenation of oceans. The Paris Agreement goal was to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, preferably 1.5. That would still make it likely that we trigger the top 7 of these tipping points. But the UN Environment Programme predict that with a continuation of current policies, we're instead looking at 2.3 to 3.3 degrees of warming. Or if all net zero pledges and announcements are met, 1.9 to 2.3 degrees of warming. That's somewhat better, but not exactly below 2 and preferably 1.5. I'm sorry if this makes you angry, anxious, depressed, but there is positive side to tipping points. Think about advances in renewable energy. Innovations reduced cost, which increased demand, which brought efficiencies of scale, which further reduced cost and increased demand, in a positive reinforcement loop. Renewables are now much cheaper than fossil-fueled electricity. There's a similar story with electric vehicles. They started out way too expensive and short-ranged. Now, if you're running a fleet, even if you don't care about emissions, you might buy electric cars simply on economic grounds. So that's what we mean by positive tipping points. They may be relatively small changes, but if adopted widely, they could result in significant benefits. Can you think of any for the water sector? If so, please do let us know, ideally in a small video that we can share on the 3rd of November. Try to keep it under 3 minutes if you can, and we'll produce a webpage full of videos, so there's no real hard deadline, but the earlier you can send yours in, the more likely we can share it on the 3rd of November in the main 9 o'clock discussion. Now, if you head to isle.andide.com/COP27 and hit the big blue submit button, it'll take you to a page that makes it really easy to submit your video. There's even a PDF guide on how to get the most out of whatever camera you have. Here's a quick teaser of some of the input we've received.
Having an electrolyzer that splits water into hydrogen and oxygen. Then all being well, we can use the oxygen in our wastewater treatment process.
I installed 2 additional water butts, so I now have the ability for 600 litres.
I take part in the All-Party Parliamentary Water Group and the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Climate Change in order that politicians themselves realise how important this is as an issue.
Having some sort of setup with maybe a tripod or something on the head and being able to show a live feed straight to that person on Teams at home.
Minimal dig techniques to repair water mains.
Innovative ways to use new technology to reduce the size of our excavation, reducing the carbon footprint of the job.
I'm trying to shop a lot more locally, and I'm also trying to use the technologies that I use in my day job and apply them to the environment to try and make a bit of a difference there.
We take energy efficiency in our buildings for granted, so why can't we take water efficiency in our homes also for granted?
I've never seen as much collaboration as I've seen right now in the water industry, addressing the multitude of challenges that we have to address: climate change, population growth, storm overflows, all the range of issues that we have to deal with.
Excellent. If you have any problems recording a video or just want to send in some thoughts, feel free to email us at WCD for Water Climate Discussion at andide.com. Now back to you, Piers.
Thank you, Martin. So sign up now, isle.andide.com/COP27. We're looking forward to seeing your input on the 3rd. Now, where there's a will, there's a way. So let's talk about a new water accelerator called the Water Innovation Living Lab, or WILL for short, which is being launched this month. WILL is specifically for those entrepreneurs who are at the start of their journey, the early stage companies, the low TRL technologies. It's for those people who are perhaps new to the water sector and don't know who best to talk to or what connections can be made. Here's my colleague Chris Thomas sharing a little bit more.
WIL is an exciting new accelerator for the water industry. It's trying to solve some intractable problems that the industry has yet to make some real progress on. And so it's aimed at anyone who's got a great innovation. Maybe it's just an idea, or maybe you've already got it to a prototype stage and maybe started commercializing it. But really just early stage companies who can make a difference against the challenges that WIL is trying to solve. This is a really great opportunity to go through an accelerated process of learning of how to build your business and bring your product to the water market. It's an intense 16-week program, and we aim to squish about a year's worth of work into that 16 weeks, so it'll really accelerate your progress into the industry. And it'll also give you contacts and the right network to communicate with, to promote yourself to, and also just to guide you on who to speak to when you do get to the stage of needing to actively approach the market. So it's not just about the education you get and the training and the practicalities of setting up the business, it's also about getting you access, real access to the industry and those that count within it. You can apply through the website. There's a nice simple form to fill out when you get there that allows you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your idea and your business, and really convince us that you're the right people to have as part of the programme. So do take a look and good luck.
Thanks, Chris. The Water Innovation Living Lab is an industry-specific accelerator program. It's free, thanks to the sponsors. It's for early-stage companies. It is hosted in Italy, but, and here's the important bit, it is open for applicants from all around the globe. The application window is open now and closes on the 25th of November. More information can be found at the link here. And finally, with Christmas just around the corner, here is a story to help you find that perfect gift for the person that you love most in your life. Everybody loves Lego, right? Male or female, young or old, it is a Christmas staple. Now, you've seen the Star Wars collectibles, or you've seen the Harry Potter sets. Well, here is the latest from Lego. It's called Sewer Heroes Fighting the Fatberg. What could be a better present for a water sector professional, or indeed anyone who knows, loves or lives with a water sector professional? Sadly, this wonderful creation is not currently available. It's a product idea and needs to attract at least 10,000 votes before Lego consider making it. Fortunately, they have already passed 10,000, but we need it to be a compelling victory. So I encourage you, I implore you to spend 2 minutes registering at the link that's shown here and cast your vote. Now, joking aside, this wonderful creation will help raise awareness with young and old about the challenges associated with designing, constructing, operating, managing and maintaining our city's crucial water and wastewater infrastructure. In the water and wastewater industry, there are hundreds of different types of indispensable jobs which usually remain invisible to the public because they don't get the recognition they deserve. Well, Sewer Heroes Fighting the Fatberg turns the spotlight on the urban underground in a way that has never been seen before. It playfully brings into focus one of the biggest problems of our sewer system's infrastructure, the famous Fatberg. The special features of this wonderful model include a 360-degree cutaway build which reveals the urban underground in a unique way that you've never seen before, in Lego anyway. There is even a jet vac truck with its high-pressure water jetting and vacuum equipment system and a glorious yellow stream of fog. The Lego website even has the serious caveat at the bottom which reads, "When entering sewers, all professionals have to follow complex health and safety procedures. In order to retain this set's play and display value, not all of those measures have been depicted in the model. In reality, team members would also be equipped with gas sensors to warn them of the poisonous or explosive gases." I want one for Christmas. And go on, admit it. So do you. With that, we come to the end of this week's broadcast. I once again thank our contributors, sponsors and partners. Next month, our broadcast will be on Thursday the 3rd of November. when we are joining with the water climate discussion for a one-off 9 a.m. UTC live discussion. And then we will have our usual broadcast, which will be on Thursday the 24th of November, when we hope to have a special post-COP27 broadcast, complete with people who have attended and an update on the water climate discussions. As always, if you know people who have gone that extra mile to mitigate the carbon crisis and be like John, or indeed be like Mona, then please let me know. And please consider submitting a video for the water climate discussion. Let's tell those stories as widely as possible so that we can all learn from each other. Keep asking questions, keep sharing, and keep safe.